right, we'll go ahead and get started. So hello, everybody. My name is Dustin. I'm one of the customer success managers here at BuildXact, and thank you very much for joining me today for our Entry to Pro with BuildXact webinar. Now, the purpose of the webinar is really simple. It's designed for those of you who have either recently upgraded from your Entry to Pro plan within BuildXact, or potentially you're on the fence and you're just curious a little bit about what's included as a part of the upgraded plan. Today's webinar is really just going to be a bit of an end-to-end overview where we're going to try to cover some of the key features that are available to you in the Pro plan, some new things that you probably didn't know, and some additional functionality which will probably which you'll be able to benefit from. And at the end of today's webinar as well, we'll be taking you through how to actually upgrade and actually control your subscription within BuildXact, to take you through that process to empower you with the knowledge after this webinar is done to go ahead and look to upgrade your system. Now, specifically in terms of our agenda today, we're not going to cover every single feature that's upgraded or that's available to you in the upgraded plan, but we're going to try to cover off on some of the key areas and really talk a little bit about some of the benefits, as well as look at some of the learning and training resource materials. So we're going to start by looking at a bit around the leads in the client portal webinar. From there, we're going to take a quick look at the request for quote. Once we've done that, we're going to jump into the job management side, which will be a completely brand new area. We're going to look at things like scheduling, the accounting and numbers side of it. We're going to touch on the supplier integration. And then lastly, as I said, we'll look at how to upgrade. Now, of course, with that being said, even though today is just a high-level end-to-end overview, we do run a series of webinars that are pretty much at the same time every single week. And these webinars are really strongly encourage you to join, just because they'll start to dive into the different sections that will be available to you, where we'll be able to spend a little bit more time going through how to get the most out of that particular feature. So specifically, I'll just kind of call out the leads and jobs, leads and client portal. That'll be a completely brand new section to you. Managing your jobs with BuildXact will be completely brand new. Integrations, loading and requesting prices, and a few elements, but mostly those other ones, a few elements of the advanced estimating, but predominantly those other ones I listed there. So definitely ensure you do register for those, and I'll show you how to do that in a moment. Last point I'll make really quick here is if you have any questions at all during today's webinar, please do feel free to click the Q&A button at the bottom middle of your screen and send across any questions you might have. All right, so with that out of the way, that brings us obviously into BuildXact. And the first thing you're probably going to notice is on the left-hand side here, I'm going to have a few extra buttons. And we're going to go through many of those buttons today as a part of our webinar. But before I do that, I want to just give this Explore button a quick little shout out. This is something you would be probably familiar with as a part of the Entry subscription, but in here is where we tuck all of our different learning training resource content. So things like our FAQs, our frequently answered questions, the video tutorials, and the ability to book in a training webinar. So again, as you get introduced to some of these new features today, and as you upgrade your own subscription and begin to use those features, we very much encourage you to also check out some of our training support content, so you can learn about scheduling as an example, or dive a little bit deeper into things like purchase orders or the client portal. So again, all great content here, just to quickly reference. And of course, at any time, as always, regardless of your subscription plan, you can always reach out to our support team by clicking the send us a message here, and also over on the right-hand side as well too. So again, we're never too far away and always happy to help. So on that, we're going to talk about our first key feature that is now available to you as a part of the upgraded plans. And specifically, that is going to be the lead section here. Now, what we're going to see in this lead section is really two key things. The first thing is we're going to see a rudimentary sales CRM. And so that's giving us the ability that essentially as soon as somebody comes into your world, you have that ability to start to track their information. The second thing that we see is we're going to see the client portal in a brief moment as well, and we'll do a quick run through of that just to introduce you to that new feature. But to start, we're going to go ahead and capture a lead. And again, this is really representing that pre-estimate period, because we know not everybody that reaches out to you will automatically turn into an estimate. There's going to be a certain back and forth. You're going to need to qualify them, learn more about the project, make sure that you can do it, you want to do it, you're available to do it, and all those sorts of things. And really, we know that the life cycle for these projects can take weeks, months, and sometimes even years. So this rudimentary sales CRM to start is really going to give us that ability to capture all of that information. And it's just one less thing you have to hold in your mind across the day. To start though, we're gonna type in a name. So I'll say John Smith will be my fictional lead today. So John might reach out to me through any number of means, maybe sort of digital advertising or word of mouth, which is incredibly popular. Whatever it means he reached out to us on. We're going to go ahead and quickly punch in a few key details here. And once I've done that, I've now created a lead for John. So again, very easy, very simple. This is again that rudimentary sales CRM. So we can start to track, critical information around what the nature of the project is. And again, things that you're probably already doing, but just one less thing you have to hold in your mind, which is really important because if obviously you forget to follow up with somebody or lose somebody's details, that can really result in losing tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of additional revenue. So again, really giving you that ability to start to track the information in here and ensure that you have a smooth, continuous pipeline of new work in your business. Now, at some point, you're potentially going to have a huge amount of back and forth with your client, whether it be that pre-estimate stage, during the estimate, and of course, during the job. So what BuildXact has to help streamline the communication is the client project, AKA the customer portal. So I'll quickly just grab this up for you here, and we'll quickly run through what it looks like. But essentially, the client project is a separate branded portal, which you can then deploy and then invite your clients into, or your leads, or wherever they may be in the journey of the life cycle. And I'm skipping through the steps of how to deploy it. It's a couple buttons. It's really easy to do. But the whole point here is that instead of emailing and trying to do all that email and text communication with your client, you actually have the ability to streamline it through this branded portal. So obviously, you again have your logo, it would have your brand colors. And this is now from the client's perspective where they're able to then log in and see all the information you've shared with them. So it could be any number of things from before photos, after photos, conversations on specifications and what's included. You can do a range of handover, whether it be a warranty handover, you can issue your deposit invoices, and a really fantastic feature that we've just launched is actually the ability for your client to actually digitally accept documents in BuildXact as well now too. So again, the whole point of this is that instead of emailing them and having them email back to you in a really messy format, we give you that ability to streamline it all in here. And the key things is that it helps to, again, just reduce a lot of the confusion around sharing information because, again, it have that dedicated portal, but it also really helps to set your business apart. I've been with BuildXact for almost 2 years now, and I have spoken to so many builders who talk about how the client project here actually helped them win more work because while their competitors were just emailing in quotes and all that, they were able to share it in a much more professional way via the client portal here. So again, fantastic tool to help you win more work, streamline that communication, and with the digital acceptance here as well, it just removes one more bottleneck from your process in terms of having to sign it, print it, send it to them, print it, sign it, scan it, send it back. We can now do the digital acceptance all virtually. A really, really powerful tool here. All right. So we'll jump back into our lead. And again, that's just a quick run through of this. Now, we can kind of think of the lead section as really the top of the funnel, because as we know, you might get, say, 100 people that reach out to you, but of course, not all 100 people will turn into an estimate. Maybe only 50 turn estimates and say 10 or 15 turn into jobs. So for that, in this example, John's going to be one of those that he's going to say, yep, he's good for the money. It's a legitimate job. It's something we want to do. So we're going to launch into the estimate for him. And this will be basically creating an estimate, which is something you're familiar with, but we're just doing it from the lead now. So we're going to go ahead and create new. Click next. And again, you're familiar with this screen here. We're now just creating an estimate. So I'll pull this John's home. This will be a single story. And once we fill that in, we'll click OK. And now we're into the estimate. Now, for the most part, the estimate on any of the upgraded plans is going to be pretty similar to the entry subscription. With that being said, though, there is one new additional feature that I want to go through with you today now, and that is going to be the request for quotes. Now, we know for a lot of builders across a variety of types and even trades, there's going to be elements in which you're going to essentially need to engage an external party or external suppliers in order to provide pricing for you. So without this feature that I'll quickly run you through, you're probably used to opening up an email, putting all that info in, and then trying to BCC everybody, and then trying to manage all the different multiple responses. And the example I like to give is, let's just say you had 5 different items at a minimum that you needed to send off for external supplier or contractor pricing. So let's just say you have 5 things that you need to send off. If each of those has potentially 3 recipients, just at a minimum, 3 different plumbers, 3 different electricians, 3 different roofers, then 3 times 5 means that you're going to have 15 different companies, different bids, which you're going to have to try to manage. So that's really, really difficult to do, and trying to make sure who submitted, what price was it, where's the documentation, and all that. But BuildXact makes this whole process super, super easy with the request for quote feature. So I'll quickly run you through that now. So to start, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to grab an item here. And I'm going to add in a new line. And I'm just again going to keep this really simple for today. I'm just going to go ahead and say electrical. Now, again, this could be a single line item for a subcontractor, or it could be, dozens of lines potentially for suppliers, depending on, again, what you're looking to get price back for. But I'm really simply just going to go ahead and tick an item here. And once I've ticked that item, I'm going to have this new button down here, this new quote request for the one item. So I'm simply going to give that a click. And this starts me through a very simple 3-step process to basically build my request for quote and then send that all out. So to start, we're going to give it a name. I'm going to call it electrical. We then select a deadline date. And a really cool part about this is that BuildXact actually has some automation built into it. So it will actually then automatically email your recipients with gentle but firm reminders to get them to ensure that they're actually following up with it on time. So again, 2 weeks will be our default, and we'll leave it as is. Next up, this is where we start to build out our scope of work. And again, the really powerful part of this is, for the vast majority of the time, you already have that information in BuildXact. And so now we're just selecting which bits of info will then need to be sent off to the recipients. So as an example here, anything you've already uploaded into BuildXact will be able to be attached here. We can also decide which plans we want to send, and some people send them all, some people only send a few. Again, it's really up to you. And we also have the ability to send our takeoffs. Now, I do get some funny questions. People go, well, hang on a sec. Why would I bother sending the takeoffs to my, my contractor or my supplier? And it's a fair question. But one thing I do hear a lot of benefits from a lot of our BuildXact users on why they might is either A, to help expedite the returning of the request for quote, because obviously for the recipient of it, they potentially don't have BuildXact, so they have to do it the old school way, which you're probably used to, and that's printing it and trying to measure it and do the math and then entering that in. Whereas if you can do the takeoff for them, and it'll actually then send that takeoff complete with the area drawn and measurements, then it makes that process a lot easier. They can essentially look at that and develop the pricing from it. And it's also a great way just to sort of keep your recipients accountable as well around what the actual area is. Again, I've heard a lot of stories where the trades or subcontractors will all of a sudden sort of inflate the area. They'll give you a good price, but they'll sort of inflate the area. So this is, again, a really simple and easy way just to try to keep everybody accountable as to what is exactly required as a part of the work being proposed here. Now, from there, we get to the scope of work. And again, this is something you have to do normally. But what BuildXact has to help expedite this process is the ability to actually attach your presets, which is really just a way of saying that you can build your scope of works and then save them for future use. So we could go ahead and say, yep, there's our painting one. and it'll automatically pop that in there. So you still might change a few details, but again, it allows us to build a single scope of work, save that as a preset, and then apply it again for our future jobs. And of course, we might make some tweaks and changes, but for the vast majority of time, it'll probably remain pretty similar. So instead of having to write it all out again, or potentially missing details, this is again, just an easy click of a button way to build your scope and really ensure that it's robust, so you don't have any potential delays or cost overruns if something is missed. From there, that brings us to our final step here. And this is now where we're going to send it out to everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and send it to, say CSS, just really just to myself and to myself. And the great part is that everyone here is, again, all BCC'd in. So you don't have to worry about anybody copying off each other. And of course, the final step here is we can go ahead and pop in our invitation message, which will greet them. But once we've done that, we're going to click send. That is then going to send out those emails for the recipients to go through. I won't take you through that process. We do have some video training on what that process looks like from your recipient's perspective, but essentially they just have now access to those attached documents and information. They see the scope. They can then submit their intention to bid, enter in that information, as well as attach all their invoices or insurance or whatever they may need. And then from your side, in terms of actually managing it, it's super, super simple now, because again, we're just in John's estimate, and we can now see that for our electrical, here are our recipients. And we'll have info such as, again, when was it sent? When they open it, that'll then flag the date here. It'll then update the status accordingly once it's submitted and the amount. And then so once everybody submits it, and again, you can track all that info here. All you need to do is click chosen, and it will then take the winning bid, and it will then automatically fill that into your estimate costings lines. Super, super easy. Again, click of a button kind of stuff, and also the ability to resend it and remind them as well. So instead of jumping back into your email, trying to comb through the other hundreds of emails that you might normally get in a day or a week, you have that ability to really easily and succinctly see that information in a one-stop shop. All right. Now, from here, we're going to take a journey into the job management side, which will be an introduction to a completely brand new area of BuildXact. To start, though, we're going to go ahead and click Create Job, where we're going to see this side box appear. Now, BuildXact does support 3 different invoice methods as well. So we support contract price, which is probably what the majority of you will be using, your method A, method B kind of stuff. But we also have a completion percent invoicing method as well. So the ability to basically raise claims against your different cost categories. So if you're doing a lot of commercial work, we've got you covered still. Or we also have the cost plus functionality, which is really, again, allowing you that as you enter the cost in BuildXact, you can then very easily and seamlessly spin that into an outgoing invoice for your clients. So again, all click of a button kind of stuff. For today, though, we're going to just focus on contract price, just because that is probably what the majority of you use. And once we're done that, we're going to click OK, and that'll then create the job for us. Oh, sorry, looks like my internet kind of flipped there for a second. Anyway, hopefully everyone can still hear me. But now we are on to the job management side of BuildXact. Now, first thing we're going to do is we're going to tell BuildXact that this estimate has been accepted. But before I click that, one thing I like to mention here as well is that there's actually lots of reasons why you might create the job prior to finishing of the estimate. So we know that a lot of builders and trades will actually issue deposit invoices right from the get-go, and you can do that, and I'll show you how to do that in a moment. You might need to build a schedule, again, very popular with commercial work, so very easy to do, or you might even want to start to record costs against the job as well. So regardless of if any of those are relevant, you have that ability to create the job at any point. But let's go ahead and tell BuildXact that the estimate has been accepted. And that brings us then on to our schedule. Now, when it comes to using the schedule in BuildXact, again, it's extremely easy to do. You can build it either from the estimate costings. So you might have seen that little T button, which I'll quickly show you here. We know a lot of people on our entry plan get a little bit confused as to what that button is. But here, if the item has a cost, we can go ahead and give it a click, and that'll then automatically pull that item into our schedule. So that's the first way. Of course, we can always add in additional items into our schedule here by just simply clicking the plus button. So I might say, call to book in the hire item. Super easy, super simple. And then, of course, third and final way is we actually, again, have the ability to build and save schedule templates. So the next time you do that type of work, you can then very easily apply the schedule in. And again, a very popular method to help with a couple clicks of a button really to build a schedule. From there, moving it around is also, again, extremely simple. Just simply click and drag it across. And again, you can see here just how easy it is to start to build out our schedules. We can also create dependencies within our schedule as well. So we can get a little bit more detailed here to connect one or more items together. So that really just means that as you're starting to manage your schedule, when life starts to happen into the project, is you can just simply click an item and it will then automatically update everything that has dependencies for it. So again, very, very easy way to build and manage your schedule. Another really powerful feature in the schedule here as well is if I go ahead and click into it, I can actually then assign contacts to this particular schedule. And what that allows me to do is I can then actually set automated reminders, a predetermined amount beforehand. So let's just say 3 days before, I want to send an SMS and an email to this person to remind them that, hey, you've got to be on site, and it'll have the site address as well. And we can also include any notes in here as well too. So just those, again, those little detailed communications, maybe the site access is on a different corner, or a reminder to check in with the site supervisor, or whatever it might be. Again, you have that ability in here to enter all that information in and track it. So we'll go ahead and click save. And that'll automatically assign that contact to that person. So now the reminders will go out automatically for you. Even if I move that around, it'll just reset the 3 days. And off we go. Of course, in the schedule, we also have the ability to print off the Gantt charts as well. So this is, again, a very common and sometimes required feature for clients or banks or any number of stakeholders who might need information. And we can also print up job task lists as well, too. So again, a really powerful tool where you might go ahead and print that off, post it somewhere, or deliver it or email it directly to your workers on site, just to help, again, make sure that everybody knows what they need to do, and also, again, how many days it's been allocated, and any dependencies or any assigned contacts as well will show up in that. So again, very easy, very simple. From there, we're now going to transition over to the actual costings. And the actual costings here is where we're going to start to really manage a lot of our costs, as well as where we can start to raise our purchase orders, our work orders, our variations as well. So this is, again, going to be a critical area on the job management side related to, again, all the numbers side of it. But let's quickly talk a little bit about how to raise purchase orders firstly. So let me just go ahead and select an item here. And so the idea here is that I've already told BuildExact, well, what do I expect to require as a part of this build? So once I find the item or items that I need to roll into a purchase order for a particular supplier, I can tick one or more items. I'll just select 2 here. Once I've selected my items, all I need to do is click order. And it's a very simple, basically 2-step process to raise my purchase order. So we're going to give it a name, call it BuildExact Demonstration 1. We can assign it to a contact. And just like that, we have that ability. We've pretty much raised our purchase order. We can edit the quantities and all that sort of stuff. We can put in any instructions and all that, put the date required. But let's just say we were done. We filled it all in. And so now what we're going to do is mark it as sent. And we have that ability to automatically either email it from BuildExact, or if I go save and close and I pop over to my purchase orders tab, you can see with a couple clicks of a button, I've actually already created my first purchase order, which again, now you can send out through a variety of means in BuildExact. So very easy, very simple. Obviously, this would be branded to your business. I'd be familiar with what BuildExact does. But here again, you can see that that is all set, ready to go, complete with terms and conditions. So click of a button, you send off your purchase order. And that brings us now to the other side of it, which is the cost tracking. Because at the end of the day, the key thing and why a lot of our builders love the upgraded plan as a part of the job management section is it's not only what you budget, it's really about what you spend. And so that cost tracking is a huge critical element of ensuring you're profitable for your jobs. So here is an example. Now we've said, great, we've raised this purchase order for those 2 items. The budget is already there in the actual costings, and it's going to be pulled into this item. So once we're ready to go to actually tell BuildExact that, hey, we've spent some money, we can then simply just pop this open, change the status to received. BuildExact is going to ask us then to say, yep, how much did you spend? And here we're just going to go ahead and leave it as is. So yep, we ordered 3 at $80. Right? In fact, let's actually change this. Let's say maybe we only spent $75. But what this is going to do now is really 2 key things. The first thing it's going to do is it's now going to record that cost in the system. So as you can see here, I can actually then very easily and very seamlessly start to track, this is what I budgeted, but this is what I spent. So here is an example. You can tell I've got $15 left over, i.e. we've only spent 94% of our cost there. So again, granular tracking to both see where you went under, but also more importantly, see potentially where you go over. As we like to say, it's better the devil you know than the devil you don't know. So if you are going over, you don't have to wait to the end of the job to figure that out. You have that real-time tracking where as you put those costs in, you can see if you go over and it'll immediately identify that, hey, you maybe spent a little bit too much, and now I'll try to give you an opportunity to try to find some savings elsewhere to try to make sure that you stay on target for your budget margin. Now, the second thing this does as well too, and again, a really key area is this helps to, if you have the accounting integration set up, which is now available as a part of the upgraded plan, then this information can also be synced across to your accounting system. So instead of having to enter it in twice, you enter it once into BuildExact to record the cost, and that will then sync that across to your accounting system and basically pre-fill that in there for you. So again, reduces a lot of the administration while getting a lot of the benefits of the cost tracking there. All right, so in terms of the job management side here, the last thing I want to quickly touch on is the outgoing invoices. It's a really minor thing here. It's really quick to do, but it's a really important step because we know that without this side of it, a lot of you are having to go into your accounting system or pull up an Excel spreadsheet, try to put contract totals in, try to break that down based off the contract percentage, depending on whatever stage it's at. And then from there, you'll then have to then manually enter that into your accounting system and then send that out. But with BuildExact, that's basically all completely gone. We can do it with a couple clicks of a button. So as an example, let's say we're ready to raise a deposit invoice. So we're just going to add in an invoice. I'm going to call it deposit. BuildExact already knows how much the contract amount is. So I could either enter in a claim amount, dollar amount, or let's do it as a percentage. And just like that, I'm done. I've raised my first invoice. So now I can go ahead and this gives me a document I can then send to the client. And again, it's all branded with your business all ready to go, as you'd expect BuildExact to create it too. But the other benefit of this is that this is the other element of the accounting integration, where not only does BuildExact give you a document that you can show to your client, but it will then also push this relevant information across to your accounting system as well too. So again, just reduce that double handling and still allows you to get all this information in there. But instead of having to calculate it and then enter it in manually, BuildExact will do that for you with a couple clicks of a button. So again, very easy and very significant for reducing a lot of the time that you'd be normally spending trying to achieve this. So on that is going to bring us back to our final point of discussion today. And like I said, and I really want to stress this, we haven't gone through all the features yet. As you saw, there's a couple tabs here I haven't gone through on the job management side. So there's plenty more benefits that we don't have time to go through. But hopefully you're starting to get a bit of a taste here for some of the significant time savings that you're going to get and just reducing a lot of your admin, allowing you to obviously focus on more times building your business or just more time spending with family at the end of the day. Our final point of discussion today is going to bring us into our integration. So we've kind of talked a little bit about our application integrations, but I want to focus on our supplier integrations as a final point. Now, what this is basically allowing you to do, this is a newer feature, but essentially this is allowing you, whereas normally before you'd have to essentially, as you're starting to work through your estimate process, where you'd normally have to go to their website or maybe try to call them up to get pricing, or you'd be requesting Excel documents and trying to upload it into BuildExact, we can basically eliminate all of that now by directly integrating with your chosen suppliers. So it's very simple to connect with them, enter in a few details in, and as soon as that connection is accepted by your chosen supplier here, their prices will automatically flow into BuildExact. So then you're actually doing your estimate costings, you have a live price list at all times. So again, it's very, very easy. And again, just reduces a lot of that waiting on costs, or trying to guess what cost it might be, or pulling off historical costs, which, as we all know, have been just extremely unreliable over the last sort of year and a bit. You have that live pricing in there. So very, very powerful, fairly new, but it's growing extremely quickly. And obviously you can continue to invite your new suppliers in, and this is only going to get bigger and bigger. And again, that's only just going to help you with your estimating to be faster and more accurate at the end of the day. So on that, that's again a bit of a high-level overview of some of the key features available. Now, if you haven't already, I would definitely recommend to consider upgrading your subscription. You can manage your subscription directly in BuildExact. So all you need to do here is go into your My Business section under your subscriptions tab. And here, essentially, you can easily change and modify your plan. So if you're not haven't upgraded already, you can go ahead and select the Pro. That will then upgrade you automatically. And of course, the thing is with BuildExact is it's really risk-free. You can downgrade your plan at any time if you need. So you may find that there are certain times maybe you don't need the Pro plan, or maybe perhaps it's just not right for your business for any reason. So at any time, you can very easily downgrade, and then later on, you can even upgrade as well. So very common to see people move between the two subscriptions depending on what's happening in your business at that time. But again, very, very, very easy to do. And hopefully you've got a real taste today that it's really given all the features and all the benefits. For really only a couple extra bucks a day, you're going to save yourself a ton of time. And again, just get a lot of benefit in terms of helping you to run your business. So with that being said, we'll leave it there for today. I just want to thank everybody for taking a bit of time to join me. If you have any questions at all following up from today's webinar, of course, you can always reach out to our support team by clicking the little icon or emailing us at support@buildexact.com. We'll leave it there. Thanks again, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.